Hi, so today is a very special podcast. As you know, I've delayed my morning rituals because I wanted to have this conversation with Miss Alexis Brink, who is an expert in Jin Jiu-Jitsu.
Jin Shin Jyutsu.
Jin Shin Jyutsu. And I met Alexis more than a couple of decades ago when she was attending a course that I was giving in Omega, and I learned about energy work then. So why don't you explain what you do first? What is this Jin Shin Jyutsu?
Yes, Jin Shin Jyutsu. It's a Japanese healing art. It's really a form of energy medicine, where we harmonize the energy in the body. So by listening to pulse in the body, you can feel where there's stuck energy, and by applying the hands, the energy will get unblock and flow in the right direction.
And it's a science that's an offshoot of the Japanese martial arts and healing systems, is it?
It is an offshoot of definitely of the healing systems, and I think even in martial arts, yes, like the movement and also Tai Chi and Qigong.
So they're all part of the big tradition of energy healing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Jin Jiu-Jitsu,
Acupuncture,
acupressure, marma therapy. You mentioned Tai Chi, Qigong. It's kind of one big umbrella, but each of these disciplines has their own specific methodologies. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So this one, it's Jerry Murai, the early 1900s. He did a lot of research and he put the system together. And it's very, very effective. I work with a lot of people who have issues, disease, disharmony, and they apply it, they come and they use it on themselves, because you can also apply it to yourself. So I teach self-help. And do you remember when I gave you a session?
Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, I do. But I have no issues. Stress my life.
Let me feel it.
Stress in my life. I'm a happy camper, and I'm slowly giving up all attachment to physical constructs, which I don't believe in at the fundamental level. I think everything is consciousness, and then that which we call energy, information, matter is a human construct, and these are all different maps, but they work. I mean, the map is not the territory, but it helps you explore the territory. So now we can look at energy medicine, we can explain it in terms of epigenetics, gene activity, neuroplasticity, microbiome activity, inflammatory markers. It's a good time for people like you who are so informed about a certain aspect of energy medicine.
And what you say about genetics is interesting, because what I find is that when there's a genetic component, it manifests on the left side of the body. And when it's our lifestyle, it manifests on the right side. And it's very, very accurate. So I was just curious, how do you see the energy movement in the body, and how do you feel it is helpful to people?
This is a very difficult area, because the way you define energy and other healers define energy is not the way physics defines energy, which is simply the ability to do work, E=mc². So, but I understand the paradigm. I totally understand that we're talking about what is called two different categories in which we define energy. So in the system of Ayurveda, for example, energy is prana, and there are 5 aspects to prana, and they're called the different vayus. So I understand, but the crosstalk between disciplines, it's not, there are different categories, and so we should stay within the category.
So do you think they overlap? And I mean, when you go back, don't they come from the same source?
The Eastern traditions come from the same source, yes. But as physics and math describe energy, that's a whole different thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I once asked you about, because we use the universal energy to harmonize the body. So it's not me giving my energy, but
it's
using
prana.
prana.
Or chi, as you call it. Or you may have a different word for it, right?
Yeah, we call it chi or universal energy, and you also said consciousness, right? I mean,
now that I get. That's the only thing I get, which is consciousness. But you are working right now with a yoga teacher as well, Donielle.
Yes,
what's her name?
Donielle Morris.
And she's a yoga teacher and yoga therapist. Yeah. So why don't we give you the camera and let her come here and explain what this is. Why don't you get there?
Because you're into yoga also.
I am a total yogi.
Total yogi.
I'm a total yogi. So, okay, so hold the camera, please sit here. Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Lovely to see you.
I'm such a hugger. I was just
okay, that's good. Wonderful.
Hi.
That's great. So tell us what you're doing with Alexis.
It's exciting. I am a yoga teacher, yoga therapist, and my background actually came from healing my own body from Crohn's disease.
Oh, really?
So I'm a firm believer in change your thoughts and change a lot of what happens in your body. When Alexis and I met, it became kind of clear that we were doing similar things with the body, whether it were sitting in a yoga pose for a very long time, moving the energy, or if it were actually placing hands on the body and moving the energy around. So yin yoga is long holds, deep stretches of connective tissue, joints, fascia, cartilage, bones, stress on the bones. And it actually works with the energy lines also. So it's
and what's it called? Yin yoga.
Yin yoga.
And the two of you are working together, right?
Yeah.
So where is do you have a studio somewhere?
Yes, right now we're practicing on the Upper East Side of New York. So we formed this class called Jin Shin, which is Yin Yoga and Jin Shin Jyutsu together. Well, when she calls out to pose, I come around and hold certain positions of Jin Shin Jyutsu, because you're stretching the meridians. The Jin Shin Jyutsu will help to open up the meridians as well.
Okay. And where is here? Okay, so we're back, guys. Sorry, we got disconnected, and what we're going to do is hold this. Just all of you sit here. I'm going to turn the camera around, flip it around. So here we are. We've flipped the camera around. Tell us a little bit about where your studio is.
So it's located Upper East Side, Jin Shin Institute, 82nd and Lexington.
Yeah. So they can contact us through the website.
Yeah. What's the website? We can put the website.
JinShinInstitute.com.
JinShinInstitute.com, and we'll put it there.
Spell it.
So Jin, we'll put it up over here as soon as this program finishes, and I'm encouraging everyone to look into Jin Shin Jyutsu and Yin Yoga, and what you guys do is one other piece of the puzzle. And the piece of the puzzle is basically that we have the ability to heal ourselves, and that we have a healing system which can be activated through a number of methodologies. I want to talk to Donielle a little bit about Crohn's disease. Are you in remission now? Are you cured?
I've been in remission for 6 years.
6 years.
No medications. And I almost died a few times. For about 10 years I was in and out of the hospital.
God. So we now know that Crohn's disease and any inflammatory bowel disease, and in fact 95% of all chronic illnesses, 95% of all chronic illnesses are, you're going to turn this around again, right? Okay.
Sweet. 1 second.
So 1 second, guys. You're very patient and very kind. No, you can turn this. So what I was saying to you is 95% of all chronic illness, doesn't matter whether it's Crohn's disease, inflammatory bowel disease, rheumatoid arthritis, whatever, even cancer, 95% of all chronic illnesses have underlying low-grade inflammation that you can measure by looking at the blood and what we call inflammatory markers. So in Crohn's disease, those inflammatory markers are very high. And we find that if people have good sleep, if they know how to manage their stress through meditation and other means, including music or whatever, yoga therapy, if they have healthy emotions like love, compassion, joy, equanimity, peace of mind, if they eat food that is free of toxins, including hormones and antibiotics and all the chemicals that go into food, if they stay in touch with nature, and if they move, then you can reset the biological clock for self-regulation and self-healing. So how long did it take for you to get rid of your Crohn's disease?
The very first class. No, just kidding. No, I remember having the thought in my very first class that this is the only moment in your entire life where you're not thinking about anything else but what you're doing right here. So that was the very first time I connected presence to how it felt in my body. And I got curious about it because at the time I was on a biologic medicine that was causing, just wreaking havoc in my joints. And so Crohn's had shown up pretty much everywhere and had been on disability for not being able to actually move anything. So yeah, that very first class I was like, maybe I'll just take this as an experiment and see, you know, what I can do by getting present and being, just showing up, even if I can't move my body. And how will that change my disease process, essentially? And it took 2 years. It took 2 years before I
But you would consider yourself cured?
Oh, absolutely.
What did
it's never going to come back.
What did the doctors say when you did this? What would traditional doctors say?
Geez, they said they were very mad at me at first, and you know it's really interesting. My doctors over
because they put you on steroids and all these.
Everything.
Really
and those
tough.
were honestly worse sometimes than I feel like Crohn's disease was. The medication was. But no, now they send people to integrative health, and I'm really surprised at that. But Vanderbilt has done a really great job with realizing that, or zooming out really, and realizing we're not just an intestine that's inflamed, or something more.
So you know, all of you who are now watching this, you know my next book is called The Healing Stuff, and it's all about this, and it'll be out in January. And do check out this center. Once again, what is it called?
Jin Shin Institute.
Jin Shin Institute. We'll put the link right here. And it's wonderful to speak to people who come from experience, and notwithstanding that some scientists and some biologists and traditional medicine people are skeptical about this, but you know, when we have examples like this, we can no longer be skeptical.
Yeah.
So thanks for checking in. Anything else you want to say, Alexis? They can hear you. You can reverse it and speak.
Yes.
Say
She's like, I don't want to do that.
Okay, before we
We're
lose
working on the
connection
line
again.
skills. One very interesting aspect of Jin Shin Jyutsu is that you can do it on yourself. So all of my clients, I teach them to do simple flows, holding fingers. So in between sessions that they can do it on themselves. And all of my clients really do and make it a part of their lives. And I think for someone like Donielle, that is also really interesting. People have been through disease to maintain their bodies on a daily basis.
Okay, so before we conclude, I'm
So nice
going
to
to
see
say
you.
something to you. UDB, do you know what it means?
UDB.
UDB. Capital U, capital D, capital B.
I know what it means.
You are the best.
I know what it means.
Okay, thank you.
And you too.
And thanks for joining
so much
us.
feedback. Thank you.